Hush Hush Biz is very, very pleased to be talking today with Matt Smith, who is an international exhibition online retailer director who's got a very exciting expo coming up in July 21st and 22nd in Sydney. So, first up, I'd like to welcome you, Matt. It's lovely to meet you here today. How are you?
I'm very well, Caroline. Thank you very much for inviting me to have this conversation with you.
Oh, this is wonderful. To actually have the engagement because when I first came across, finding out about the expo and then yourself, I've got to say I'm always keen to talk to someone that's particularly in the events sales world and. My God, you've had an extraordinary, background, and you've been everywhere. So, in terms of that, I've got to ask, what was your first job in sales, and what got
A
you?
long time ago, 22 years ago, I sort of fell into it, to be honest with you. Well, actually, I probably should take a further step back. My genuine first job in sales was selling um, chocolate bars and penny sweets or penny lollies in my grandmother's park cafe. But then, that was just as a school job. But in my actual, professional life, I fell into sales. I think it was about 20, 21, 22 years ago. I'd been doing some customer service jobs, and which was quite good fun. I speak fluent French, so I was working for Eurostar, Eurostar train company back in London, and which was great fun, customer service. But I was looking for something where I could develop, and I came across a sales job, and that sales job just happened to be for a big global events company. And I was started out as a lot of people do as a sales executive, picking up the phone, cold calling people, trying to sell them professional training spaces. And then the career sort of developed from there, and I moved up into sales director, sales manager, sales director, general manager positions, and on that basis, traveled all around the world, overseeing sales offices from Prague through to Malaysia, and generally a widespread. And then in 2018, joined Reed, which is, as you all know, is
Yes,
a global exhibitions business, which is a
yes.
slightly different scale of event to the one that I was involved in producing. I used to do smaller scale training courses and conferences and summits, and now into the bigger scale events with Reed. But ultimately, 22 years involved in selling, and in particular selling events.
Events. Well, and Reed is a major player in the game, and it must be, I don't know, it must be so exciting to be involved with such a big company and to do what you do, and so tell us a little bit more, in view of the conference that's going to happen, because there's such a milestone of things, and again with COVID,
Mm.
obviously drastically shutting down a lot of things in this past year. This must be an exciting expo to get your teeth into.
Yeah, I think that the last year the events business, as the events industry, as a lot of industries went through a really difficult period. We are synonymous with face-to-face events, which means customers
Yeah,
meeting suppliers, and business relationships being formed on the basis of face-to-face contact.
yeah.
So the last year has been really sort of challenging in terms of putting those sort of events on, but we had to change our focus and outlook. And I'm going to use that often used word in the last 18 months, pivot, to
Yeah.
produce digital alternatives for our clients. And over 2020, we delivered a couple of digital events in the online retail space.
Yep.
But what we've seen, and what we've heard is that while digital is great from a content perspective, so being able to listen to content, what it doesn't do, it doesn't allow the attendees to engage. And if you ask
Mm.
anyone whenever they attend a conference or an expo, what is the thing they like to do most? And yes, they like to listen to the expos, but the case studies and the insights, but they like to network, and that's really, and build those relationships, right? And that's really where the virtual world hasn't delivered. So what we're seeing into 2021, and certainly what we're looking forward to with the event in July, is really bringing our online retail industry back together, face to face, the opportunity to network, the opportunity to reforge those relationships that perhaps may have become a little bit stale or forgotten over the past 12 months, and to really kickstart, I suppose, trade, if you will, between supplier and retailer. And what we're equally looking forward to is, because of the dramatic acceleration of retail towards e-commerce channels, we're expecting this to be a big event, a much bigger event, because so many businesses now have had to accelerate their digital plans from, their plans for 2025 have now had to be brought forward into 2020 and 2021. So, companies who perhaps weren't quite as sold on e-commerce very much have had to by the fact that they've been the COVID pandemic has forced them to, compelled them to get with the program when it comes to e-commerce. And so we're very excited for two reasons. Firstly, to bring back the industry face to face, to deliver exceptional content, to create those and reforge those relationships, and provide that sort of that service to the industry to reconnect, but importantly to open up avenues of opportunity to new businesses who are now embarking on, for the very first time, an e-commerce or an online retail journey, and continuing to support those and help those companies rebuild and take advantage of what should be a bumper retail year in the next 12 months, off the back of a lot of household savings. So we're expecting a nice big jump in retail and retail spending. Our role now is how to help those companies capitalize upon that through the connections they make and the insights they gain via our event.
Okay, that's really fabulous to hear all that, and and the two takeaways there was retail and online. Because online has just taken over severely, and everyone is embarking more online. So how in the retail world, how much confidence is there really in that world?
I think there's a lot of confidence, but it's the blend of channel that retailers have to now get right. Okay, so what we have seen and what we're sort of building into this event is the blend and the convergence, if you like, of the online channels with offline channels. Okay, so over the 2020, people have become very accustomed to shopping online. But what they've missed out on is the opportunity to go into the shops, browse, try things on, and so on. So where there's lots of confidence in the retail industry about rebounds and and growth from a tough trading year, the challenge is getting the blend of channel right, because there is going to be people in the stores, but how do you now capitalize on the e-commerce channel that you have been putting into place in the last 12 months and synchronize that with your in-store offering? So there's this move towards what is sometimes dubbed phygital, the physical blending in with the digital side, and how bricks and mortar or multi-channel retailers can now capitalize upon e-commerce and allow the two channels to sync together seamlessly. So I think that is going to be one of the key challenges moving forward. Is to the company that can capitalize successfully and ensure that synchronicity from a customer experience perspective are the ones that are going to do very, very well. So there's no doubt there's going to be a boom, but the ones who are going to do best out of that boom are the ones that are going to successfully knit together all their channels and have a seamless customer experience, irrespective of whether it's offline or online.
So who are the leaders at the moment in that?
That's a very interesting question. You put me on the spot there. I don't want to necessarily blow anyone's trumpet or put anyone down, because there's lots of business out there leading in different facets of the whole.
Sure.
I would say if you were to look at one company in particular that's really been successful at blending the online and the offline, really successful. That'd be Q Clothing. They're not the biggest retailer in Australia, but nevertheless, if you look at the types of technology that they are implementing within their stores and how successfully they are in terms of blending what they're doing online with a big store network across Australia, I think they would be one of the better examples of success in this new age.
Which is, it's interesting as it's more female driven. So,
Yep.
it's the females. Do you think females versus male? Obviously, the females are the leaders in terms of shopping and buying online.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And that's, with clothing and everything. So, and then what about, your major tech furniture shops and things like that?
Yeah, look, and you'll see that over the pandemic as well, there's been, if you look at the categories that have always been predominantly successful in online retail have been your fashion and apparel. So, for example, we have about 25% of our audience traditionally would come from fashion and apparel to the online retailer.
Yeah.
And the next closest category thereafter would be electrical.
Yes.
And then the list drops down in sort of smaller components. And what we see as being one of the biggest growth areas in online retail in particular has been the homewares section, also the sporting goods section as well. That's also lifted quite significantly. But a big rapid riser, as you will have seen, is going to be in the liquor and groceries and food delivery space as well, because those businesses have also benefited from the stay-at-home policies and so on. So what we're expecting to see this year's online retailer is fashion and retail will still be part of the major part of the mix, but you'll start to see a higher density and percentage of retailers in these other areas. So opening up the new opportunities for new retailers in the homewares, in the groceries and liquor delivery markets as well. So you'll start to see that sort of different sort of mix of category or vertical at the event itself. So that's, I think, is also an interesting development.
Obviously, again, just another point that obviously, because the economy got such a hit, and and obviously there was a lot of job loss and business and everything. The way people are spending right now. And it seems like Afterpay is the new currency to buy, at retailers. So have you got, any sort of added information about, sort of how people are buying? Is it still a lot of sort of credit, or is it, or are they doing?
Well, yeah, look, credit cards are becoming increasingly out of fashion. And that's really based on the generational gaps between types of buyer. Our parents, what did they use? Cash.
Well, cash, yeah.
Cash, cash all the time. They used to keep cash under the, they didn't even use banks. Cash would be under the mattress, right?
Yes.
And then people started putting money in banks, and then when they put money in banks, they're using credit cards and so on. Now, you and I would be more familiar with using a MasterCard or a FPOS than our kids, for example, who are the Gen Zs and the millennials, etc., who are moving up and are much more familiar with this whole buy now, pay later concept. So yes, you're seeing a dramatic shift and a huge amount of competition from the buy now, pay later companies. Afterpay were the market disruptor in Australia. But you've got now, ZipPay, you've got Klarna, the entrant from Europe in play, Lay-by, Latitude. So you've got probably about 6 to 7 buy now, pay later companies who are very much active in Australia and meeting different types of needs. But Afterpay for sure in Australia at any rate are the market leader, and it just reflects the change in consumer behaviour, but very importantly the generations. And I know Afterpay for sure have got a lot of data, and they work very closely on analysing that Gen Z spending patterns and so on, and they're offering a solution that particular branch of society, buys into.
Well, the Gen Z are more sort of like live now, pay later, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And look,
Yeah,
there's a challenge. People throw out that this is another way of getting into debt, but
yeah,
if you look very carefully into a lot of what these BNPL companies are doing, it's yes, it's a debt facility, but they're offering a different way of managing your debt in a more appropriate fashion. So, I'm not going to cast comment on credit cards or BNPL because it all facilitates retail, but they've got a different slant on things that are more socially responsible way of looking upon the buy now pay later type of principle.
no, it's interesting. You've got some really interesting guests, speakers at the event, and and obviously one of them is the CEO of Facebook, and there's Samantha Wills who apparently lost, had to close down her $10 million business. Um, you know, can you tell us a little bit more about, sort of your guest and, what is everybody going to get out of, hearing the leaders in these spaces?
Well, look, the principle behind the information, the insights that are going to be imparted at the conference is, it's first of all, there's the whole question of inspiration, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to go to a conference, do you wish to sit there and just listen to industry leaders talking about industry matters? Yeah, of course, that's adding value, and we can include that in the program without question. At the same time, you want to be there to listen to inspirational stories from people potentially outside of the industry. So, for example, the speaker from Penguin Bloom, we all know about Sam Bloom. There was a film on Sam Bloom, and there's these life stories that we're bringing to play about inspiring stories that are uplifting, and that cuts across whether you're a big business or whether you're a small business. How can you take away inspiration? And then we're looking at the insights into the future. So we have a futurist speaking. His name is escaping me very, very briefly, but Nick Abrahams. He's a futurist, and he's talking about what future trends are there that's going to stack the odds in your favour. Okay, so we're looking at inspiration, we're looking to the future, but then of course we're looking at execution as well. So when we look at execution, we're bringing back into the retail industry space, and of course we're bringing together speakers from your bigger businesses, the bigger brands, companies like Volkswagen, for example, bigger global companies, as well as looking at some of the examples from the smaller retailers, the ones that perhaps aren't necessarily household names, but who have been very, very successful in establishing a successful and vibrant online business. And there's very often, from companies who are slightly less well equipped financially, innovative ideas that come out of necessity that other bigger businesses can actually take away. So you've got a breadth of speakers, both from the sort of inspirational side. You've got speakers who are talking from the big end of the online retail spectrum. Like I mentioned, Volkswagen's a big global brand. Perhaps you don't deliver the Passat in the post, but regardless, the principle of the visibility is very, 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 very prevalent. The Iconic, for example, that they will be speaking of, one of the most recognisable online brands in Australia. So taking the inspiration and the insights from these bigger guys, but also that blend of the champions, the smaller champions, the guys who've grown the business from the ground upwards as well. So a real blend of insight and information to take away across our main conference agenda. And then on our expo floor, we've got our retail foundation stage, and this is all to do with small businesses. How have you been able to be successful in getting your business established? And that's really to tie into the ethos of online retailer being everyone's opportunity. Anyone can become an online retailer. If you've got a garage, Adore Beauty or Showpo, however many years ago, you've got a garage and a credit card, you can set up an online retailer business. Setting up is one thing, making it very, very successful is the next. And that's where our retail foundation stage comes in. It's those insights from those retailers who have made a success somewhat, and the lessons they've learned, the challenges they've had, the pitfalls they've had in front of them, and how to overcome them, and the evidence of, or the proof being in the pudding that they're going to serve at the show. So yeah, a nice blend across the board there of insights.
Oh, fabulous. So how do you see the next 5 years in?
Well, yeah, I'll have to listen to Greg Hunt really, and listen to what he's talking about in terms of COVID and COVID restrictions. I think, look, the challenge is going to be really based on the health of the nation and the health of the global pandemic, and how quickly that is brought under control, because inevitably that's going to influence the opening up of borders. That will influence the size of and the health of the overall economy, and that then will influence the decisions that online retailers need to be making in terms of where they go in the future. I think what we will see though is quite a sizable or a continual increase in the overall importance of online retail as a channel to market. It is not going to overtake face-to-face or in-store retail. Okay, it won't do that. People enjoy trying things on. They enjoy the touch and the feel and so on.
Yeah.
But we will see it continue to rise and complement what is happening in store. Okay, so whereas we've seen this big, incredible growth in online retail, that will taper off somewhat. But then it's going to be more about, as I mentioned earlier, about how businesses now start to blend together their offerings successfully and create the nimbleness and the agile elements that will be able to react quickly should there be, any future lockdowns or pandemics, or whether it's COVID or any other.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. So the investment in technology in particular is going to be continual. And I read somewhere a report saying that the investments that businesses were planning to make in 2025 or by 2025 have already been brought forward to 2021. Yeah. Right. So already there's an acceleration in spend in the tech space and a realization that that is where money needs to be spent.
Excellent. That's really exciting to hear all of that. It's fantastic. So, for yourself, I've got to ask, what's your favourite shopping? Online or retail. What's your pastime?
What do I do? I'm not a very good clothes shopper, to be frank with you, online. And I think I like going into the store and trying something on.
Yeah.
And so I'm not the best online shopper when it comes to. I think, what do I order on most? To be honest, I order food mainly. If I'm ordering stuff online, it's primarily food.
Yeah.
HelloFresh, Marley Spoon. I'm a keen cook, so I'm often getting the boxes delivered at 3 a.m. in the morning for those businesses. I have to say, and again, this does also reflect this blend that I mentioned, this blend of online, offline.
Yeah.
I do find the things I want online, but then I go and have a look at the store to see what it's like. So if I'm looking for a particular product or garment, or I will find and identify it online through just browsing, and then I will go and have a look in the store when I happen to be in the vicinity. That tends to be my sort of modus operandi when it comes to shopping, and it's exactly that sort of thing that these retailers are trying to capture. If I'm looking online, how are you going to entice me to come into the store and make that purchase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I agree. It's nothing better than to go and feel and touch something and buy it there on the spot than online.
Well, there's some terrific technologies coming. The online retailer. I'm not gonna necessarily give them a free plug, but there are some really interesting type technologies that are going to be on view at online retailer, which is how you can actually shop in store while you're sat behind your own computer screen. So think about that. I'm sat behind, I can't be bothered to go off to, it's raining. I can't be bothered to jump in the car and go off to Macquarie Shopping Centre. I want to have a look at the product now and see what it looks like in real time. How do I do that behind my computer screen?
Well, it sounds virtual.
In store to give me that tour, There's some interesting technology that you'll see at online retailer that's actually going to help do that. So
interesting.
I'll leave that teaser out there.
Okay, well, that's gonna, yeah, that I'm keen to know more about that one. That's great. So on the 21st and the 22nd of July, you know, obviously there is going to be so much to explore, and there is a free, it's free for the exhibitioners to in the floor, but obviously there is a cost of a ticket for $7.99 over the 2 days, and therefore that's where it will be networking heaven for
It will
anyone
be.
in the business world or wanting to grow into the business world again.
Yeah, that's right. There's so anyone can attend, assuming you're a retailer.
Yep,
I mean, it's a business to business event, so
yep,
assuming you're a retailer, look, you can come along, register on the website, come along for free to attend and evaluate all of the exhibitors' technologies on the expo floor. There's a series of free content to be able to take advantage of and to view, listen to speakers on the floor itself. So, and then, as you've mentioned, there is this paid component to attend the main conference as well. So,
and there's an
paid
award
component.
show as well, Matt.
Pardon?
There's an award show on as
Yes,
well.
well, yeah, the Aureas. If
Yes,
the Aureas
the
is on the night of
Aureus.
the 22nd, the Aureas is the preeminent awards night in online retail in the
Yeah,
online retail industry, and there's
yeah.
that's the Australia Post Aureas,
Mm,
our exclusive partner with the Aureas. So there's a number of awards, 14 awards plus the Australia Post People's Choice Awards that occur at that event, and it's a sought after award. It's recognised and it's voted for. Is recognised, as a real sort of achievement.
yeah,
If you take away an Aurea's gong
yeah,
at the end of a tough commercial year, or
yeah,
even a good commercial year for that matter.
yeah.
Getting an Aurea's is a real accolade.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I tell you what, we've absolutely enjoyed speaking with you today. It's been very informative and insightful to the whole area of online retail and the expo that you're running. And yeah, we wish you amazing success with it for this year. And I'm sure you are going to get it. I feel there'll be a huge flood of people that will want to come to this to
Yeah,
get
I hope
engagement.
so. I hope so. And look, we're really looking forward to it. We're events people. Events is
Yeah.
what we get out of bed in the morning to be able to produce. And as you can imagine, last year was a
Oh,
tough year for
it
us.
was,
So
yeah,
we're just looking forward to getting back to what we do best and bringing the industry together.
absolutely. It was, in general, for all industries, a very tough year. And I think the feeling is that, yeah, we all want to get back out, and obviously when the travel sector opens up again for our
Mm,
internationals, that will, lift the game up again. Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, Matt, thank you from Hush Hush Biz. We're um, very, very indeed a great pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Pleasure to be here. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.